Saying yes only when you mean yes can sound like such an easy concept and something that is so easy to do, but there can be a lot of fear behind doing that and doing the things that are best for you and saying no to people, because sometimes we can have people-pleasing tendencies. We can want to make other people happy, even if it means that we're not so happy. There can be a fear of letting people down by saying no to them. There can be a fear of, losing people and for relationships to change. And, we can be afraid of, quote unquote, causing a scene, because you're not really causing a scene when you are standing up for yourself. You're just standing up for yourself. But there can be a fear of, making other people uncomfortable. So you would rather be uncomfortable than make, other people in the room uncomfortable, or make the other person in the conversation uncomfortable. Especially if you're used to people relying on you and always coming to you for things. That can be really hard to tell those people no, especially if it's like family or, people that you really care about. And, you're helping them because you really, really want to help them. But sometimes that can be all people see us as what they can get from us and, the help that they need when they need that help. But there isn't really anything in return. So I talked about this a little bit in like my last couple of videos, like just saying yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no. These are my notes for it, just a few pages. Because I am a recovering people pleaser, I would say. I don't say no when I don't say yes when I mean no really anymore. And, it's taken me to really get comfortable with myself and figure out why I was even saying yes when I meant no in the first place. And that was really just to keep everything sane and to keep other people happy and, to not, again, cause a scene, to not make anything like blow up, and just to keep everything chill and level, even if that meant that I was unhappy and I was uncomfortable. And this is also more of what I learned, when I was reflecting on this last night. And, you could be in a situation too where you are thought of as the healer in whatever, your family, your friend group, whatever it is, or it could be at work. And people really come to you for their help because they really, it's nice when people respect your opinion and they care about your opinion, but there's also another side to that where people will keep asking you because they know you've said yes before. And they think, if they have said yes to me so many times that they're going to say yes to me again. And I should just, I should go right to them no matter what. Because also there are a lot of things that I've been asked that, people could just punch into Google. And it would just take so much less time to wait for my response. Wait for me to Google it, wait for my response. And, that person could have already Googled it and had the answer. So sometimes it is things like that where people get so used to your help and, your presence in their life that they don't know what to do without it. But, when you finally tell people no, they could be shocked at you standing up for yourself. Again, if this is, a situation where you don't really stand up for yourself, you don't really know how, you don't really feel comfortable doing that, but you would rather be uncomfortable and make everybody else comfortable. So when you finally stand up for yourself, they could be shocked, like they could be taken aback, and they could, just not really expect that from you because they don't know that about you, or that you would even do that. You would even like set those boundaries with them. But, that is something that they have to deal with. That is something that they have to figure out. And they'll have to figure out how to do it on their own. They'll have to open Google on their own, So, yeah, again, this is coming from a lot of personal experience and, being around adults who really, ever since I was like really little, like in elementary, middle school, have come to me for help. Like, I'm 12. I don't know what you want from me when you're 30. So, it's sort of things like that where people, again, we're sort of people, this is a different aspect, like a kid aspect, but like when people are adults and, have to do things on their own, especially when you're in your 30s and 40s and stuff, asking a child for help, because I don't know what you're going to get from the child. I don't know. Just like reflecting and writing these things down and reflecting on that sort of thing. It's very interesting how, people will come to you because they don't really want to do the work themselves. They would rather you do it because they don't really feel like doing it. And yeah, this isn't really saying, like, disclaimer, this isn't saying that if you're a caretaker and you work in a hospital, or you're a therapist, psychiatrist, whatever you are, or a babysitter, doesn't mean like to get rid of your clients, get rid of, quit your job, whatever it is. I'm not saying that, but it is, I'm coming at the aspect and at the angle that people will, not all people, again, some people will try to get things out of you and take advantage of you and see how far they can push you because you've let them do that before. This is about, people taking advantage of you, saying yes to people just to keep the peace, that kind of stuff. So it isn't really, I'm not saying don't help people, I'm not saying anything like that. But yeah, so again, what else I have for my notes? I really don't want my phone to overheat because it did last time, so I'm going to try to make this one short. When people have to figure it out on their own, it can be scary to them, but it can also be scary to you. To think about who you are outside of what you mean to other people. It can be really, really hard to separate ourselves from the responsibilities we have and try to think about who we are on our own as individuals. It can be really difficult. It can be scary to think about the person that you are deep down because you are so used to helping people and you've kind of made that your personality. You don't know who you are without that kind of, even if it's something that you really don't like and you're like, oh, they're asking me again, and it's something that irritates you, but it's something that you've lived with and have made your personality. It can be really, really hard to come to terms with that. I've had to come to terms with that, and I have also had to, ask for help and, not take it all on myself. Again, I speaking from personal experience, I got into such a mode that I was that person for other people, and that was all I could be. I didn't really think of saying no and to ask for help and to be like, no, I'm not going to do this right now. I'll do it in an hour for you, but I have other stuff going on. I didn't really think of standing up for myself because I just felt so drained from helping other people. And I really took that on as my personality, but I realized that there are other things. I'm allowed to live my own life. I'm allowed to, at 27, be an adult and be my own person. I don't need to be taking care of people constantly. And that isn't, something that makes me happy. Again, if you're a caretaker or a therapist, it can be different where that is your job and that is something that's fulfilling to you. It's not really fulfilling to me. So that is, where I'm making that distinction. But yeah, for you, you are so much more than you give to others. You are so much more than what you do for other people because you have your own interests, you have your own hobbies, you have your own passions, you have your own things that fill you up with joy. That you can have all on your own, that can belong only to you and you only. So yeah, you could, what did I write? You're more than the caretaker or healer or babysitter or unpaid therapist or the glue holding everything together. You are more than that. You have all of your own interests. You have the things that make you happy, and you should do more of those. Like I was saying, ask for help when you can, and don't feel like you have to take it on all by yourself. Just because you have done it like that for so long, and especially if you're unhappy doing those things, you don't need to continue doing those things. You can really help yourself and ask for help. Yeah. And yeah, you're allowed to say no if something doesn't feel right to you. You don't need to sacrifice your peace to keep the peace for everybody else. And you don't have to be unhappy in order to make everybody else happy. You don't need to do that. And if people are expecting you to do that, those aren't the right people in your life. They're not right for you. And, people who genuinely love you wouldn't see how far they can push you or see how far you can bend before you break. Because some people will test you and they'll figure out how much you'll say yes to for them and how much you'll do for them so they can keep using you. And some people will intentionally, again, I'm talking intentionally taking advantage of you, not talking about people you help, especially if it's your job and, if it's anyone who you help and is gracious and returns a favor in some other way. I'm not talking about that kind of thing, but I'm talking about people intentionally seeing what they can get from you, just to keep testing you, just to keep asking you for help, just to keep asking for your expertise, whatever it is, just because they don't want to do it on their own. But, we grow up, we become adults. People got to learn how to figure a situation out for their own. Be, their own guiding light. Be their own blueprint, basically. And because the only people that each of us has, well, the only person that each of us has for the rest of our lives is ourselves. From the time you're born to the time you die, you are alone, basically. Not alone, but you have yourself, and that is the only person that you will have for your entire life. So stand up for yourself in this aspect, if you're someone who is taken advantage of a lot. But also for those other people, they need to learn how to get through that situation on their own. You don't need to help them with every single situation. You don't need to be that person that they call every time something bad happens, every single second that they have, a meltdown or whatever it is. Like, especially, again, if they're not being that person for you in return, if they are not helping you in return, if they are so focused on getting their emotions out and, basically treating you like an unpaid therapist, if the shoe fits, if you're not a therapist, and if they are just not helping you in any way, then it takes a lot of discernment and understanding how you feel after interacting with people and how people treat you. When you stand up for yourself and you tell them no. Understanding people in that aspect, and then also placing them in the right places in your life, whether it's an acquaintance, it's a best friend, it's a super close person that you call weekly or nightly, whatever it is, or just somebody that you see at a family gathering. You can place people however they need to be in your life, when you make those boundaries with them, because people will treat you how they want to treat you if you don't say anything I can't figure out what the word is, but if you don't say anything, people are just going to treat you how they want to treat you. If you don't set that precedent about what you allow in your life, all of that will continue until you put a stop to it. So, stand up for yourself. Of course, say no if you really don't want to do something, if something doesn't feel right for you. And I know, like I said at the beginning, it can sound like such an easy concept, but it can be difficult when you really, really care about the people you are around, or even if you're afraid of saying no to somebody because of how they're going to react, or if they're going to, give you the silent treatment, if they're going to disown you. That can be really, really hard and really, really scary, but it also takes you knowing that is not healthy. You don't deserve to be treated like that if somebody isn't going to take no for an answer. But don't let that dim you, and don't let that diminish you and make you like a shell of who you are, because even when I was younger, I was someone who always stood up for myself. If I didn't want to do something, I would fight against it. I was very, very vocal about my feelings, but as I grew up and through high school and college, I really shut down. And I didn't know how to talk about my feelings because I had gone so long with them not being taken seriously. And if I'd said something, it was like, oh my God. Or if I said no, it was like, well, why not? People would just get mad at me for standing up for myself. So again, speaking from personal experience as somebody who has really been shut down a lot for saying no, don't let those people continue to, keep you down, because a lot of those people aren't even in my life anymore. And if they are, it's not, it's in passing. It's I saw you because you're with somebody else. So it's just standing up for yourself, knowing where to place people in your life, and knowing what you deserve and what things are healthy for you. Because if you speaking up irritates others or causes them to get mean or rude with you, those people aren't for you. And you can remove them, place them however they need to be in your life, or take them out completely. And the more you say no to the wrong people and situations, the more you bring in the right situations and people that you want to say yes to. And that allows you to align more and more with what feels right to you, and will give you the happiness and peace of mind that you deserve, connecting with you with the right people, opportunities, and experiences that truly feel right to you and appreciate you for who you are. So getting to the point of pure acceptance, enjoying your life, requires you to be honest with yourself, take yourself and your time seriously, because that is something you cannot get back after you've spent your time. You can't get that back. So you got to take that seriously, and you got to stand up for yourself, because people will walk all over you if you let them. So don't let them. People will take advantage of you, treat you however they want if you don't say anything. Because again, people, not all people, but some people will try to see what they can get from you. whenever they can, however much they can. So yeah, that was my notes for that. Oh, and I did have one more thing, which I said earlier, but knowing when to say no. Like if you're in a situation, somebody like asks you if you want to go to coffee, if you want to like go to a cafe together and get coffee, and your initial reaction is like oof, then that is a no. You don't have to convince yourself that it's going to be like, well, it could be a good time. No, if your initial reaction was not a happy reaction, it's a no. If it's not a heck yes, it's a no. And that is how I've lived my life for the past few years. More so now. Like if something is like ooh, then I'm not going to do it. If that is the reaction I have, I'm not doing it. If I'm not excited, I'm not doing it. So that is honestly my tip for knowing when to say no. Just like whenever it feels comfortable, not so much comfortable, because sometimes we should do things out of our comfort zone to grow. But in this situation of saying yes or saying no to a situation, knowing how you feel and what feels right to you, like at your core. Again, if it's something that you're not excited about, something you feel a little bit like, no, I don't think I should be there. I don't think that's a good idea for me. Then don't do it. And, let the other person know, thank you for the invitation, but I will have to decline. I'm not interested. Please don't ask me again. But yeah, it could be something like that. But you know your situation best, obviously, your life. But I hope this was helpful. Just sort of a confirmation that, people will take advantage of you. And it isn't anything that you've done. I feel like people say, and I want to talk about this in my next video, but real quick, some people do think that like the people you attract reflect you, and that isn't always the case, because like people are abused, people are, harassed. Just that isn't something that you've drawn in. That is like a terrible person that you are not responsible for. And there have been situations in my life which I think I've just like had to learn from, and I think those situations were in my life for me to learn from, and to come on here and to talk and to teach people through those, that you can get through them, and that when you really focus on yourself and you zero in on yourself and what makes you happy in life, what you care about in your life, and the people you want to be around, the people you don't want to be around, just being honest with yourself, it can make everything clear in your life. It can give you that clarity for what things, align with you, what things you want to accomplish, the goals that you have. So even like being at jobs, being in any kind of situation or, opportunity, experience, anything like that, it can make all of that really, really clear when you get like real with yourself about your feelings and who you are basically at your core. So I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know where that came from. I think I found it along the way, like Michael Scott says. But that is that for today. Yeah, my next one is going to be, I sort of was like talking about the intention, like the people that you draw in don't really have to reflect how you are. Sometimes they can just be lessons. Sometimes they can be, little things for you to learn from. Because like if you, like just for example, like if you get cancer, it doesn't mean like, oh, you drew that in, like, no. And I think that is a very harmful thing to tell people, and, to think that you deserve to have cancer, like just in this situation. So I don't know, but that is sort of what my next video is going to be like, just making sure that you have the intention. And yeah, everything is going to play out, I guess, how it's supposed to, or how it's going to, things that you can learn from whatever aspect, because yeah, there are situations that I didn't want to be in, horrible things that have happened to me that I, didn't really understand at the moment. And also were not okay, like not excusing those, but, it was things that I have learned from, and, hopefully can help other people through, that you can get through it. Yeah, basically that is that. So I'm gonna finish my tea, and yeah, I will see you guys in a few days from whenever this is posted. So that is it for now. Yeah, bye guys.